What is up, guys? Welcome back to After the Credits. Another year, another COD, right? That's probably what we're all thinking. That's what I was thinking. But I got a console, as you may or may not have noticed, based on all the PS5 uploads, and I felt like playing some COD. So I purchased Black Ops 6, despite probably my better judgment, thinking it was just another recoloring of Modern Warfare 2019. However, I have been pleasantly surprised. So can't wait to dive into the discussion about the game. It's going to be a fun one. We're going to cover the campaign. I played through it and completed it on Veteran. And then we're going to talk about the multiplayer as well, because I played quite a bit of that also. We are not going to touch on zombies, though. I'm not a zombies guy. Really have never been. To be honest, just don't have anybody to play zombies with. And I feel like if you go into zombies alone or into public matches, it's just not as much fun as it would be with other people. So since none of my crew ever did it, I still don't do it. So, not going to be talking about zombies, but I've heard it's fucking awesome for people that like zombies. So, there's the zombies discussion. But without further ado, throw all the bullshit away. We'll start talking about the campaign in Black Ops 6. So, the likes in the last few videos have done a very nice job of helping me regrow a little bit of the scuff down at the bottom of the facial structure here. So if you can continue to do that to help the beard grow, would appreciate it. Leave a thumbs up down there. It helps, believe it or not. And if you don't, it'll come in all gray out of stress and sadness. So consider it. I'd appreciate it. So just a brief synopsis on my history with Call of Duty. My favorite Call of Duty of all time is Modern Warfare. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. From back in the day, that was the one that I grew up with and played the most and absolutely loved. I played most of them up through what I consider the modern CODs, which started with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019. I think that is kind of the reboot era, or the new COD is where I draw the line. Played the hell out of COD Modern Warfare 2019. I believe Cold War came after that, which I skipped because it looked like a recoloring of Modern Warfare 2019. So, didn't play that one. Then Modern Warfare 2 came out. Played the shit out of Modern Warfare 2. Then Modern Warfare 3 came out. Modern Warfare 3 was a complete DLC add-on pack for Modern Warfare 2. Didn't touch Modern Warfare 3. And now we're at Black Ops 6. And I got back on the bandwagon again and decided to jump in. I loved Black Ops 4. I thought Black Ops 4 had the greatest BR ever created. I absolutely loved Blackout. For those of you that didn't play it, sorry, that was the greatest. So good. I love Blackout. But I don't play BRs anymore. I prefer the multiplayer skirmish style stuff. And obviously that's what I bought the game for. But it does have a campaign. And as we do on this channel, we talk about stories and story games and campaigns. So that's what we're going to spend most of the time on today. Alright, so in this story, which is a great story by the way, it's actually substantial. Probably about 10 hours if you play through it on like normal or hardened difficulty. I am a masochist, so I play every COD campaign that I get on Veteran. And if you've never played COD on Veteran before, if you know if you peek your head out for 2 seconds, you're going to get it blown off. So you have to play in a really slow, strategic play style, which I, for some reason, enjoy. And also, play on Veteran, you get more trophies. Trophies, dopamine, me, child brain, like dopamine, rushes. So that's kind of what I do. So I think it took me probably a little bit longer than the average person. I think if you played on a normal difficulty where you could just go through the game, you're looking at about 10 hours or so. Probably took me closer to 15 just because of the difficulty. I think these characters were all introduced in Cold War, which is actually a game that I skipped. Came right after Modern Warfare 2019. Looked like a reskin of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019, so I just didn't bother. So I might be missing some story context clues from Cold War. It gets mentioned quite a lot in this campaign, actually, which is kind of a bummer. Maybe I'll have to go back and play it, but probably not. Let's just be honest. So in Black Ops 6, you play as William Case Calderon. I believe is his name. His code name is Case. It's good enough. You play as Case, and he is working with Troy Marshall, who is kind of his command leader from what it seems, working for the CIA. And the head of the CIA, or the department that the CIA operative in charge of this task of members is Jane Harrow, who becomes another priority figure in the plot. But you also work alongside Frank Woods, who's been a staple of the Black Ops series going all the way back to probably the first Black Ops. I think actually he was in the first Black Ops. So he's been a staple of the Black Ops franchise. So you work with Frank Woods, Troy Marshall, Jane Harrow, and later on in the story you come across Russell Adler, who is an enigmatic figure, essentially. He kind of went rogue from the CIA, started doing his own thing. You have to capture him, bring him on board. And it's a whole thing. That's the cast of characters. I think Russell Adler's been a part of the Black Ops series too, but I think he played a really important role in Cold War, which was a game that I skipped, so I could be missing some context here. But that's the cast of crew you're going to be working with throughout the game. And in the first mission, you are working with Jane and Marshall. Since Frank Woods is now in a wheelchair, he's not deployable. He's just kind of the intel guy for the team. But you're in Iraq capturing a high-value target. I think his name was Alwayi, something like that. Close enough. But anyway, the first mission's kind of irrelevant. I'll just spoil the first mission. Essentially, you capture Alwami, something like that. And as you're in the process of getting to him, you see another paramilitary force fly overhead, which causes everybody to kind of get concerned. But then you kind of move on past that. You capture the high-value target. You're supposed to capture him alive. The high-value target essentially says that this paramilitary group that was unfamiliar to the CIA is a paramilitary group called Pantheon, which is kind of a new thing. So the CIA obviously at this point has another force that they have to consider while doing these operations in Iraq. After this happens, Russell Adler comes up and pops the high-value target in the head, basically says that he's got all he can get from him and walks away. So you go back to the briefing room. So Case, Frank, Jane, and yourself sit in front of the head of the CIA, and essentially you get put on suspension because you followed, you didn't follow military orders. You killed the high-value target, yada 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 yada, and so you're basically out of a job. However, Troy Marshall steps up and says they're going to kind of backdoor the thing with Frank, and they're going to go into this location that Adler knows about in Iraq and take over the safe house, try to figure out who the hell the Pantheon is and what their objective is in Iraq. So you basically play through the campaign to figure out who they are, what they're up to. And long story short, Pantheon has a bioweapon that they're looking to deploy. This bioweapon called the Cradle essentially turns people into zombies, so to speak, and just causes mass mayhem. And so you're trying to find the Cradle, trying to put a stop to this whole thing. And of course, there's a lot of twists and turns along the way, a lot of high-value, high-action scenes that you would expect from your Call of Duty campaigns. They're really great popcorn flicks. They're great games to just hop in and experience all the explosions and fun stuff that's going on. And this game delivers on that aspect. I think the story is great. The plot twists are kind of predictable, but still fun. I played it on veteran, so as I said before, it was more of a serious situation. I know it's kind of more difficult than your average playthrough. But if you play it on like normal or hardened or whatever, you'd probably get a great popcorn flick out of this. And it was fun. The story concludes really well. The characters are well written, in my opinion. Sorry if that just popped. But it was a really fun time. And for 10 hours in a COD, you can't really complain. That's a very substantial COD campaign. Normally these campaigns are quite short, don't really offer much other than a few set piece moments, and there was quite a few of those in this game as well. But really, just a good COD campaign. I recommend playing through it. I don't recommend spending $70 strictly for the campaign because nobody plays COD for the campaign exclusively. But it's all great. It's all there. Great music. Great gunplay. The guns have been incredible. The gun visuals, the gun audio, all that stuff's been good since they rebooted the series. That stuff's all perfectly intact here as well. So it's just a great campaign. And, if you already have the game, I would highly recommend checking it out. You are able to unlock some multiplayer weapon variants in the campaign by collecting money in these areas. So you kind of go around, you find money piles, and you grab them. You can take them back to the base, to the safe house, and you can purchase 3 different weapon variants that you can then take into multiplayer from the campaign. So just something cool that you can do if you're interested in that. to get those variants able to be used in multiplayer. I wouldn't really say that there's anything like new in this campaign beyond what you've already seen in Call of Duties. There's a really cool movement stim that you can use in the campaign, which I haven't seen before. Essentially like your stim that you would use in multiplayer, so you kind of shoot yourself and it heals you in multiplayer. However, in this game, if you use a movement stim, everything slows down around you and you're able to kind of move through this slow motion time period, which is pretty cool. It's not something I used much in my playthrough, but I feel like if I played on a lesser difficulty where I could actually utilize that to my advantage, I would have definitely used it quite a bit more. But that's a cool thing that they added. But other than that, the enemies are kind of what you would expect here. There's just your standard enemies, and then they have kind of elite enemies, so to speak. So machine gunners, shotgunners, there's dudes that deploy RCXDs, like they just spam them. They just drop RCXD, drop RCXD, drop RCXD, drop RCXD, and they just beeline at you, and you just gotta shoot the RCXDs. Said RCXD a whole lot there, but you know, they have specialty enemies as well that are a nightmare to kind of deal with. And then there's one really novel mission in the game where you fight like a monster because he's infected with the cradle, and that's a weird section, but it was fun. It was cool. But yeah, as far as that stuff goes, it's pretty samey, but still fun nonetheless, and still worth a playthrough, I think. So that's pretty much going to do it for the campaign stuff. Like I said, I don't want to spoil these games. I just want to give you guys enough information so if you want to play it, you kind of know what you're in for. I don't expect anyone to buy this game for the story. You shouldn't do that. There's by no means any world where $70 is worth a 10-hour experience. And people don't buy COD for the campaign, they buy it for the multiplayer. So let's go ahead and transition into the multiplayer conversation now and talk about that a little bit. COD multiplayer has always been kind of a treat for me, I guess. I don't necessarily play these like super competitively, uber competitively. I just don't have time for that, you know what I mean? I don't live to play COD multiplayer, but when I do, I find it very fun. Obviously more fun with people, but you know, your buddies when you get on and have a good time. So I'm not one that really bitches a whole lot about a lot of the things that the community doesn't like about the game. So skill-based matchmaking is very strong in this game from what I hear. You have one good game, you get pulverized the next few games. Doesn't really bother me that much. I don't really play for my KD. I play for the objective, and I just play for fun. And if I have a fucking 0.3 KD, it isn't going to hurt my feelings. Doesn't hurt my fucking mood. You know what I mean? I don't live or die by my KD, so I don't really care. It doesn't hurt my feelings as far as I'm concerned. If I had a good game, then the people that I stomped are feeling the same exact way that I'm gonna feel when I get matched against better players. And so it's just a trade-off, and it doesn't bother me all that much. I think the skill-based matchmaking conversation is hootenanny, heartenanny bullshit, and just play the fucking game. We don't have to take everything so goddamn serious. There's just so many other things in life that we need to worry about. So just fucking play games, and if you're pissed when you're playing the game the whole time, stop playing it. Do something else. If you're not pissed and you're having fun, keep playing it. That's kind of my rule of thumb. Just have fun with games. That's what they're made for. It shouldn't be... You're not going to be playing for optic gaming, most likely. Sorry. There's what, five players on a COD roster out of how many ever teams there are. There are how many teams now? 6? You're probably not gonna get there, right? And if you are gonna get there, you already know you're on the path. So just fucking chill out. Play the game and have fun. Now, the big selling point of this COD was the Omni movement. So the ability to dive and slide in all directions instead of just forward. To me, this has really no impact other than you see some weird shit dudes flying out of windows, just diving out of windows off cliffs. So it's almost comedy to me. It's pretty funny. It doesn't really affect the gameplay all that much. It's pretty standard COD. You know, you're going to have dudes slide around corners to get an advantage on the person around the corner. Typical COD stuff. To be honest, it feels a lot like Modern Warfare 19. I think it feels good. It feels kind of like a classic COD in a lot of ways. I really have no complaints with the gameplay. I think the gameplay and the gunplay is very good in this game. Top notch. I feel confident that this gunplay is as good as Modern Warfare 2019. I thought Modern Warfare 2019 was probably the reboot series at its best. It doesn't feel like old COD, but old COD doesn't feel all that good when you play old COD. So I actually prefer the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 2019, and I think this game kind of feels very similar to that. There's not a whole bunch of like overpowered like character abilities and things like that in the game, which is super nice. You just have your tactical abilities that you can use. So these work on a timer, they charge up. You can use like a trophy system or an ammo pack. There's nothing super detrimental to gameplay as far as the abilities are concerned. And other than that, it's just a standard, straightforward COD game with great gunplay and fun, fluid movement that I think is really enjoyable. I'm not good enough to take advantage of all the new Omni movement mechanics. That I just don't bother. I just play the game because it's fun. The other thing that's kind of cool about this game also is they went back to headshots for camos in this game, which I think is awesome, personally. I like to do the camo challenges I like to camo grind. I think that's part of the fun of the game, is using all the weapons and getting all their camos and stuff. And they went back to only headshots. So you need 100 headshots to get the max camo. And then there's 2 additional camos after that require like the challenges from what we were used to for camo grinds, but they're pretty easy. And then I believe gold camos get like 10 double kills. So it's very simple to do that, and it harkens back to old CODs where that was the objective, to get camos, or to get headshots. And I think that's pretty cool. Brings back some memories that I have a lot of fun with. Now, a couple things to complain about. The maps are fucking ass in this game. They are really bad. There's not really any maps that I would say are like great. There's a couple good maps, a couple really bad maps, especially depending on the modes that you get. I mean, if you get like Team Deathmatch on Red Card, which is like this a really beautiful map. It's a very beautiful map, so I see what they were going for. But the map is fucking so big and like so spread out that like you play Team Deathmatch, you're almost always going to hit the time limit because the map is too big. Beautiful though. I mean, that's something. But the map is ass. And then there's like a bunch of really small maps. So, you know, there's a map called Babylon in this game, which I think is maybe smaller than Shipment. And it's all open on the outside. And then you go into this like rectangle of stones, and then it's open in the middle. It's just spawn death, spawn die, spawn die, spawn die, spawn die. There's some fucking bad maps in this game. I don't know what they were thinking, but there's some stinkers in here. This is one of the things I always brought up to my friends too, because they always bitched about how these games kept bringing in old maps and putting them into the new game. And my argument was, well, at least these maps are designed well. And then we get no new maps in Black Ops 6, and they're almost all of them are complete poop. In a lot of ways, they just are not good. And I think that's the general statement that I've heard from other people as well, is that the maps are trash. But again, since I don't care about it that much, I'm not super competitive, they don't bother me too much. But Red Card Team Deathmatch is like an insta-skip, leave the lobby. Vorkuta is not great either, but it's playable. So there's some tough maps, but that's something you're gonna have to look out for. Hopefully some new nice maps will maybe be brought from maybe even Black Ops 4. Bring some of those maps in to Black Ops 6 with season, when they start doing the season stuff. Would be nice to have some decent, usable, playable maps in here, that's for goddamn sure. Other thing I'll mention is I have had some server issues with this game. Just very laggy servers. Could just be the high volume of players playing right now because it's still launch week as I record this video. Could just be my lovely internet service provider. I don't know why I said it like that. My lovely internet service provider. My internet service provider, Mediacom. They are absolutely abysmal. So, if you have Mediacom, sorry. I do too. It's absolutely miserable. It's all I can get here. And they are atrocious. But, so, if you're having problems with server issues, just know it may not only be you. Could also be this dude in Iowa talking about games to nobody. So, other than that, I'm not going to say much more about Black Ops 6. There wasn't much conversation to really be had about the campaign. I apologize about that, guys. This is more of a multiplayer game for me. So we talked a little bit more about multiplayer than the campaign. But if you have the game, I recommend playing through the campaign. and just experiencing it. It's pretty fun, and you are able to unlock some stuff for multiplayer, which is kind of the main focus of this game. So yeah, I think it's a good time. I personally think it's probably worth the $70 if you have a COD itch. It's very fluid and fun. Hopefully the server stuff gets fixed, and we'll be able to play a smooth game. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Appreciate the hell out of you all. New video next week, and hope to see you guys there. Take it easy. We'll talk to you guys soon.